Okay, Dr. McGrath here from the airport. Yes, this is dedication. And I'm continuing. This is review video number 2 for modern music exam number 3. And we left off with Wagner. First of all, I want to apologize for the video problems in the last one. I checked and yeah, there are glitches at the end, also in the YouTube video. But the sound is fine, so listen to the sound. You can just not look at it or minimize it and just listen to the sound for the last few minutes of the video. Hopefully we won't have any trouble now. I've rebooted my computer, so everything should work out fine. So we left off with Wagner, and the next question is, who next to Beethoven is believed by scholars to have had the greatest influence on 20th century composers? I said we left off with Wagner. That's Richard Wagner. It's spelled like Richard, but it's actually Richard Wagner. What were the 2 most important elements of Wagner's operatic style? Well, here we go. I have to work with my German pronunciation here, which is not that good, but we have 2 German words. That right there is a clue. It's Gesamtkunstwerk, and again, this is in your book, and that means a technique of, it's the idea of a complete work, and we'll explain that a little bit more. And also, Leitmotiv. So the term Gesamtkunstwerk means complete work, and Wagner, basically, he did that because he was involved with every aspect of his operas. For example, he wrote the libretto. Remember that the libretto is the text of the opera, so Wagner actually wrote his own libretti. He also helped to decide the scenery for the opera. He basically was in charge of every aspect of it, not just the music. That was a new idea. So he was very innovative in that respect. Now, his leitmotifs are musical ideas that are meant to symbolize or represent certain objects or ideas. They're extra musical ideas or objects. So, for example, he's applying a certain musical sound or a certain melody to represent something else. It could be an object, it could be a sword, it could be an emotion, it could be another idea, but he uses that and leaves that in and out of the opera so that the audience gets another layer of meaning. What traditional operatic device was Wagner particularly against? Now my phone's ringing, so this is crazy. Basically, Wagner was against, well, he didn't like arias that much. He was more for the plot, for the story, for the theatrical aspects of opera. So he wasn't crazy about arias. In fact, he called Italian arias, or just Italian opera in general, superficial and silly. He preferred the straightforward action and plot of the recitative. The next question, Wagner's blank was part of the larger work blank. This is the Ring cycle. So Rheingold was part of the Ring of Nibelung, but there are other operas that were part of the Ring of Nibelung. Remember, there were 4, a total of 4. Yeah, you can see that. We've got Die Valkyrie, which is the one that we talked about in class, Siegfried, and Gottdammerung. Wagner was well known for his blank, as well known for that as he was for his operas. So the answer to that is his political views. He had very strong anti-Semitic political views. He was very much a German nationalist and probably paved the way for Hitler. Which term refers to a synthesis of many of the arts into one unified work or a total work of art? I already gave you the answer. It's that German word that starts with a G. Gesamtkunstwerk. You won't ever have to spell it. It's multiple choice, so no worries. What did Wagner call his new style of opera in the 1850s? He called it musical drama. So notice that he's emphasizing drama. And in fact, when he was younger, he wanted to be a playwright. No, that's not in the exam, but it's helpful to remember that he called his operas musical drama. So in other words, there was something bigger than just opera. Who wrote the text for Wagner's operas? I already told you. Wagner himself. And again, that is a huge change from what had been done in the past. In the past, opera composers had librettists. They had hired librettists or found librettists that had already written these ideas and worked with the librettists to create operas. What is the Ring of Nibelung and what are its parts and what is it about? Basically, the Ring of Nibelung is the Ring cycle written by Wagner. We already talked about that. So it has 4 operas. It's designed to be performed one night after another. It's epic in its scope. It's huge scope, and it actually crosses multiple generations. It involves the world of gods and other creatures, dwarves and things like that, as well as humankind. Again, it covers many generations, and it's based on German folklore and myths, as well as the supernatural. Remember, that was a trend that Weber started with his German romantic opera, so Wagner was continuing in that vein. Also, his use of German folklore and myths is a very good example of German nationalism, romantic nationalism. What allows a composer to show what a character is thinking, even though something else is being said in the text? That would be, we already mentioned it, a leitmotif, or a light motive. Again, a motive is the shortest identifiable musical idea we can have. So a leitmotif is a short little idea. It could be a melody, it could be a certain rhythm, it could be a certain chord even. Usually it's a little bit more than that. This used to represent an extra musical idea. Extra meaning outside of musical idea. Wagner uses mythology in The Ring to reflect on modern life. And what is the basic theme of the work in reference to his views on human existence? Well, I'll tell you right now, it wasn't a very rosy view of human existence. It's not positive. Basically, in the story, after several generations of struggle, the basic theme is reflected in the final death of the protagonist. So after all of this, the main person, the chosen one, ends up just dying, and it's definitely not like The Ring that we know from the movies. The work's theme suggests that greed and thirst for power will eventually equal moral decline, so that humankind is just greedy and desiring power, and that eventually that will bring our downfall. Yeah, happy stuff. What important role does the orchestra play in the first scene of the Valkyrie? Well, by carrying the leitmotifs, it conveys the psychological depth of the characters and their feelings. So it really gives us a deeper view of the drama of the story. That is an important role that the orchestra is playing. Remember that throughout this era, the orchestra started to play a more and more important role in the development of the plot and the themes of these operas. Okay, we're moving on to a new topic. Who started the idea of the symphonic poem? Just to review, what is a symphonic poem? Basically, you don't want to get that confused with some of the other genres we've talked about. A symphonic poem is a one-movement orchestral work based on some kind of program. So it is an example of program music. Remember, program music means that there's something that's influencing it, like poetry, it could be text, it could be artwork. There's something outside. It's not abstract, as we often found in the classical era. Franz Liszt is the answer to that question. Franz Liszt was the composer who first wrote symphonic poems around the 1850s. The word poem itself clearly conveys the programmatic nature of the work. It's a really important genre of the Romantic era, so make sure that you've got that down. Now, here's a good and a little bit of a tricky question. In which category is a symphonic poem different from a concert overture? So in this question, I'll list several different categories. The truth is they're really similar. They're both for orchestra, so they have the same performing forces. They're both one-movement works. They're both programmatic. So what is it that makes it different? Form. The concert overture is in sonata form. That's a particular type of form we didn't talk too much about. It's more of a classical era thing, and we skipped the classical era in this class. But basically, it's a certain form of how the music is presented. So that's the only real difference between a concert overture and a symphonic poem. So remember that. The only main difference is form, because a concert overture happens to be in sonata form. Okay. We'll stop right there. So this concludes review video number 2 from Albuquerque Airport. Yay! With Quiznos subs behind me. So I will follow very soon, as long as my plane isn't bored, with review video number 3, and there probably will only be a total of 4, possibly 5 review videos. So study this stuff hard. You can rewind and play again if you missed anything, and make sure you have that sheet and you're just putting those answers right down. See you later.